In this week's episode, we take a look at what's in the news and we report on the very first online disability show. Thank you to Jess Rayford, Tina Clark, Paul Weaver and the rest of our crowdfunder supporters. We'll be announcing our Patreon campaign shortly, so hit that subscribe button and look out for further announcements in the future. A contract between mobile network O2 and Carphone Warehouse ended on the 31st of March 2020. So customers won't be able to upgrade through the retailer anymore. An announcement on the O2 website, however, says that there is good news in that you can do it all through them. We'll include a link to their FAQ in the show notes. The Online Disability Show launched last week. The first ever event welcomed over 500 attendees and included live Q&As, interactive sessions, demonstrations and a retailer area featuring virtual stands where visitors could inquire about their products and access special show deals. Emily Goodall, host of the Online Disability Show and founder of BundleBean, joins us now to talk about the show. Could you tell me a little bit about BundleBean and how it came into being?
Yes, certainly. Hi, everybody. So BundleBean began 10 years ago. I was a young mum with two little kids, and it began life inspired by them. I wanted to get out and about. I'm very outdoorsy, but we were living in London, and I got really frustrated by not being able to get out when the weather was chopping and changing. So I kind of invented, for want of a better word, a multi-use waterproof cover that could fit on a car seat, a buggy, a carrier. Very easy to fit. I could fit it on the little one who was a baby or the bigger one who was a toddler. No matter what the weather was doing or no matter how the day unfolded, I was going to have this warm waterproof cover so we could go out when it was raining or snowing or if the sun came out. And BundleBean began from there, and then we added it to our range. But it was all targeted at the 0 to 3 market. Like lots of mumpreneurs, although it's not my favourite word, but it was aimed at that world, young mums with little kids. And the business launched. It was successful. It still is. We were in lots of sort of high street retailers like Mothercare and Boots and you name it. And after about 4 or 5 years, some of our customers, unbeknownst to us, had kids with additional needs. So whilst their first version of the BundleBean had been ideal when they were little, these kids were now maybe 4 or 5, so they were sort of moving out of the pushchair stage into maybe their first wheelchair. And the BundleBean obviously wasn't large enough. Their little legs had reached the end of it. And I got a few phone calls, to start with. And then, as the years sort of went on, there were more and more people in the same situation. So I thought, well, is this an opportunity? It's a bit niche, a bit strange, it's not a world I know anything about. I have 2 able children. It's not a world that I was really aware of or tapped into, apart from these wonderful customers who kept ringing me up and saying, so have you thought any more about it? Your covers are perfect. We just need a bigger version. So that's really where it all began. And that was 5 years ago. We launched at Kids to Adults North up in Manchester, November 4.5 years ago, I think it was.
Wow.
And we had a phenomenal day. Just the reaction to our covers was amazing. They're very brightly patterned. They're very colourful. They kind of appeal to children. And a lot of what we became aware of is that a lot of things that were on sale for children, particularly, were quite dreary. They were more aimed at elderly wheelchair users, not at, let's say, a 10-year-old or even a 17-year-old. So off the back of that show, we sort of expanded our range, and we now have the warm covers for kids and adults. We have a lightweight rain cover version, and in fact the adult market is now almost as big for us as the kids market. So we've sort of slightly adapted again and added to our range to appeal to teenagers, young adults and the elderly as well. So we hope we have an offering for everyone, and we've got a few other accessories and matching accessories now as well. So the idea is that if you're a wheelchair user, you don't have to sacrifice style for comfort.
So how did the idea of an exhibition or conference come about?
There were two sort of angles of it. We exhibit, I mentioned earlier, at the Kids to Adults exhibitions, and a big shout out, by the way, to organise those events. They're absolutely fantastic. For anyone who doesn't know about them, they happen in Manchester, Coventry, Farnborough. They're called North, Middle, South. There's a West, and there's one in Scotland, and they are for anyone, kids to or an adult, as the name suggests, living with a disability. It could be anything, and they're a really fantastic opportunity for people to find out about new products, test ride a new wheelchair, find accessories, talk about hoists, adapting your home, legal advice, adapted cars, you name it, that it's all under one roof. There's also a whole schedule of lectures and talks and things on a range of interesting topics. And the people who attend these events, I have become aware, because I've exhibited at so many of them now, they're partly there to access all of this information and advice, but they're also there, some of them, because they enjoy being in a very inclusive environment. They have a lovely atmosphere, the shows, really friendly vibe, and we find there are parents swapping top tips on what to do with their children, and what's your wheelchair called? That looks just like what we need. Or what's that little cool thing you've got that holds your iPad in place? Or where did you go? Special schools, you name it. And it's just a lovely atmosphere. And when lockdown began, I spoke to a few of our sort of regular customers, or customers who we're regularly in touch with, and they said that they were really missing the opportunity to go to events like that. And of course, they're also missing their schools, like all of us. But in particular, if you are living with a disability, you might be missing school education, your classes, your friends, your peers who are facing the same challenges that you are, and people feeling a little bit lonely and isolated, like I guess a lot of us are. So I was sort of aware of this sort of absence in people's lives. And I also took part in a baby show, which was online and was on a Facebook page run by a friend of mine. And it worked really well. It was a really interesting concept to have a Facebook group that was just open for a limited amount of time, with a lot of interesting activity and an opportunity to buy products, special offers and deals, information, live events and talks, interviews. So we kind of replicated her concept, and absolute hats off to her. Thank you, Kira. And for this other audience. So that's really where it began.
Was the 2-day event a success, and did it achieve everything you'd hoped for?
Yeah, I mean, everyone had their different things they were going to get out of the show, of course. So for the attendees, as we now call them, I just really wanted them to get that sense of you're not alone. Here are a load of other people all in this virtual space together. And there've been some lovely little things that have come out of it. Like 2 women have got in touch by messaging in comments under the dance show done by the lovely Kate Stamforth, saying, I used to be a dancer. I'd love to find a dance class around me that I could do from my wheelchair. And they've got in touch, and they're now looking to help each other start a local adapted wheelchair dance class in their area. So, I mean, lovely. It's just an unexpected surprise, these sort of lovely little things that have emerged out of it. Obviously there were retailers, so we had 20. Oh, I don't know. There you are. Look, there they are. 20 fabulous exhibiting brands, and they each had an album to showcase what they sell or do, their services, or
that was kind of like their stand, wasn't it?
Like a stand, exactly. So a sort of shopping area, and there were some lovely new products, things I'd never heard of. Neo Walk sell these beautiful acrylic walking sticks. They're super stylish. They're like a beautiful accessory. Like I said, I think at the show, I don't need a walking stick, but I really want one. They're just so beautiful. Loads of things. If you are a wheelchair user, spoke guards to decorate your wheels, all sorts of accessories and products like that.
Hearing it living enabled, we're being sent one of those high visibility bags to review on the programme.
Safer to be seen. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, great.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah. We'd never met. We'd never met each other at a show. That's just a new connection that's come out of this event. So in terms of has it met my expectations were pretty sort of wide, and in some areas they've totally blown my expectations, because I just didn't expect to make all of these new connections. It's been lovely for me as a business owner and entrepreneur in this slightly weird and wonderful world that we're all operating in, to find each other on a whole that's a whole separate conversation that we're now having offline with each other, is how to support each other in the world of retail at the moment. It's very challenging. So I obviously hope for them that they made some sales, and I hope for the attendees they've found some products that they might not have heard about, and had a chance to engage with the brand owners or the staff and get their questions answered. Certainly it seemed that a lot of that was happening in that shopping area.
And you had some regular talks, some people doing presentations throughout the day.
Yes, well, we had a sort of mad, action-packed schedule of mixture of, it was full on Friday morning. Wow, just went from one to the other. It was just sort of, from my heart was sort of thumping. I got to keep up. And on Thursday afternoon, my internet went down, and I was sort of try not to cry, just power through. It's going to be all right. It was only that evening, my neighbour, we went out at 8 o'clock for the NHS clap, which is the only time I ever see anybody ever in the week. My neighbours over the road said, could you believe it? OpenReach were here this afternoon. We've been asking them to come for 8 weeks, and they came this afternoon. Thanks. There were some really stressful tech moments. The event schedule was a mixture of lives. So we had some really interesting talks. Martin Sibley came on to talk about inclusive digital storytelling, which was absolutely fascinating. He talked a bit about his personal backstory with about being the only child at school in a wheelchair, and on it went through his sort of adult life. And he's a very good and engaging speaker. We had some pre-recorded interviews which we played at a particular time, so that people watching the videos could then engage with the people in the videos. And obviously the star of the show, it's Tanny Gray Thompson, who kindly agreed to be interviewed earlier in the week, and just what an absolute legend she is. So kind, so down to earth. And if anyone wants to watch the interview, it's still there on the Facebook page. It's well worth a watch. She's just insightful about accessibility. Really was the focus of what we were talking about. Yeah.
Will the videos stay up online, or are you going to close the whole group and delete everything after the event's finished?
No. So on Monday, which we now know isn't a bank holiday, at the end of that day, we'll remove the exhibitors' albums, because that kind of opportunity was for that slot of time. But the videos will all stay up forever, and we're also slowly uploading them to a separate YouTube channel.
Good.
Which so we're just slowly, about 2/3 of them are up there already, and the rest will be up by Monday. So we can put a link to all of the locations online where they all are. Because there are some there were interesting talks about adapting your home by an architect, being a wheelchair user, and being a parent of a young child. You name it. And then we had some workshop, we had some workout classes. So we had a Macathon and movement class, sort of really targeted at teens and young adults with additional learning needs, which is just absolutely lovely. Theme around The Greatest Showman, an adapted Joe Wicks workout class, wheelchair dance classes. I mean, you name it. There was something for adults, there was something for kids, all sorts. Yeah, so it's a lovely resource. And yeah, if anyone would like to go and access that, please do. We would love to share it all with you.
So what we all want to know is, will there be a second year?
Well, it was only ever meant to be a one-off.
I think it's brilliant.
We went into this just thinking it was just a reaction to lockdown and our extraordinary circumstances that we're all in. But it did raise some really interesting thoughts. Some things occurred to me that I hadn't really previously thought about, which is that for a lot of people, whether you yourself are an independent living adult, or you're living with an ongoing health condition, or you're a wheelchair user who finds it hard to get out and about because you can't drive, or whatever the barriers may be, or you live somewhere very remote, a lot of people said, social isolation, I'm used to it. This is my normal life. I can often go for weeks because I'm immunocompromised and there's lots of flu going around and I can't risk me catching it. So for a lot of people, this is really, really normal. And I know how hard it's been for me. So I was thinking, wow, okay. So for a lot of people, they can't access the shows. And maybe this is an opportunity for this to be more than just a one-off, because lockdown affects people like me. But for a lot of people, this is normal life. And the feedback has been so positive. And so in terms of achieving our aim, yes, I think we did. And we would love to do it again, I think, with a larger audience. But equally, we've got the page up there now, exactly. And we've got all the members. And so we may use that as a vehicle to share more interviews and do some more lives. We're just, I think on Monday, Sam and I will have another phone call and have a thought, and we'll obviously ask the attendees for some feedback, and from there, yeah. But I'm sure it's not the end. We're just not quite sure what it'll look like.
So where can they find you and express an interest in next year's show?
So they can email me, emily@bundlebean.com, or they can message us through our Facebook page, which is BundleBean Limited, I think we are. We're pretty easy to find on Facebook or through our website. The Facebook page, as I say, is still open, the Facebook group page, and I think you're going to put a link to that for anyone who wants to join the group. Yes, we would welcome, we'd love to hear from anyone who's interested either in just attending, any suggestions on what people would like to see or do or take part in or listen to would be welcome. Any retailers out there who might wish to market their products to our audience, get in touch. And I think it will, depending on what we hear in the next kind of week or two and who we hear from, will definitely impact the direction that we choose to take this in. So yeah, speak now or forever hold your peace. We'd love to hear from you.
Excellent. And all in all, a very successful week. You can chalk that one up.
Well, yeah, I certainly slept like a log last night. So that's kind of a successful show. It was really special to end with that interview with Emily Morrison from Able Emily, who I must just mention was also part of that interview that I did with Tanny. It was a really special experience for me and for the other Emily. So it was a really lovely way to round off the show. And just after that, we had a live from Kate Stanforth, who is this lovely dancer who uses a wheelchair, and who I must just say I met at a show. So it just goes to show that 5 years ago we met at a show and we just hit it off and we had a laugh and we've stayed in touch ever since. And it just shows that amazing things can happen when you just open your minds and you connect with people, whether that's in the real world or the virtual world. It's just, I could never have imagined 5 years ago when we were just starting out that the people we'd meet then would still be in touch now, and that we'd be here, hosting an event together.
Awesome.
But yeah, so yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us today on the show and being yet another guest here on Living Enabled.
Thank you for having me. It's been really good fun. Thank you so much.
If you have any questions about today's show, get in touch with us via social media, at our website livingenabled.com, or by email at hello@livingenabled.com. And remember, making the most of modern technology in everyday life is living enabled.